Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew discusses Commander-related topics, and today we are asking you, the viewers, or we did ask you, the viewers, to suggest what changes you would have liked to see or would like to see to the Commander format. Rules changes. We've discussed in the past, like the ban list in terms of individual card bans and stuff we'd like to see unbanned, maybe stuff we want to see banned. But this time we're going to be talking more about the Commander rule fundamentals, like the starting life total, like the starting library size, like color identity, and all that sort of stuff. So I posted on the community tab of our YouTube channel asking for your ideas, and we got a lot of responses, and I just selected the most popular ones, the ones that came up the most, that got the most upvotes and whatnot, and we're just going to talk about them as a hypothetical. So it's not like we want specific rules to be changing, but it's always good to, re-examine the format and see what's working, what's not, and maybe we come away with something that we actually do want to see changed. Even though we really like the current system, there's always room for improvement, and there's always room to at least analyze things and see if there is changes that could be beneficial for the format to make it even better than it currently is. Joined with me, as always, is Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive. How's it going, Seth?
I'm doing good, Tomer. How are you today?
I'm doing well. And then next up, we got the Asian Avenger, also known as Krim. How's it going, Krim?
It goes well. Good morning, Tomer.
And then finally, we got Richard, aka the Codfather, which I'm still in love with that name. How's it going, Richard?
I heard pushback to him, where some people like the Goldfather. We're gonna need a
Goldfather
over the Fish Father.
I feel like
the Fish Father, the Goldfather, the Codfather.
Codfather's really good.
I'm on
though.
Team Codfather. But Goldfather, I feel like you'd be like that villain in Austin Powers of like, I love gold. That's what that evokes. I don't know if that would work, but you do you, Richard, all right? Anyway, before we jump into the actual recommendations, one thing that would be really cool of you all who are listening, you can do two things to support us. First, you can do a like and subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast, be it iTunes, be it Spotify, be it YouTube, whatever the equivalent is. Give it a like, give it an update, whatever that system encourages. That always helps the channel grow. And the other way you can support the channel is you can head on over to our merch store, mtggoldfishmerch.com. You can buy the beautiful playmats stapled on Richard's wall. You can buy deck boxes, deck sleeves, t-shirts, and so much more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. And now we dive into the suggestions, and we're going to start with the most popular one, the one that got by far the most upvotes and just the most suggestions from random people, and that is the idea of banned as commander returning. Mike Horner was the one who had the most upvotes when I checked as like the top comment. And he said, I think banned as commander should come back. I think it could be a good way to monitor both certain commanders that are too powerful, popular, or unfun. And I really don't see why cards like Arayo and Braids have to die for the sins of the RC. So thank you, Mike, Miles, and everybody else who suggested this broad topic. But for people who don't know, back in the day, I don't remember what year it was. Maybe it was like 2015 or something like that. It's been many years. We used to have two separate ban lists. One was the ban list that we have right now, where these cards are just not available in the format whatsoever. They're just banned. And then there was a separate ban list that was, these cards are available in the 99, but they're not available as your commander. And there was a bunch of cards that fit that criteria. I remember it was Black Braids, it was Arayo, it was Rafellos. I think Akusha was on that list at some point, but then got fully unbanned. So there's a bunch, and some of these cards hypothetically could be legal in Commander right now if they were banned as Commander still. So what do you all think about this?
Yes, we should have banned as Commander. I have never really understood why we got rid of it. If you read the original ban announcement, it's basically, I guess, a complexity thing from the RC's perspective. I think their exact words were unnecessary information overhead. Magic's a complicated game. We're getting 6-sided cards now on Magic Arena. I don't think that Magic players are going to be overwhelmed by Braids being illegal as your commander, but legal in the 99 or something. To me, it seems like all upside. If you look at the commander ban list, I think there's at least a few cards that I would be comfortable playing against in the 99. Rafellos would be a really easy example. Even Leovold, maybe one of the most brutal. Like, if it's not in the command zone to combo with wheels and you're just drawing it like an Ocean Thief, maybe that's going to be fine. So I think it's a way to minimize the cards on the ban list and give Wizards more control, or the RC, I guess, more control over the ban list, where you don't necessarily have to take a card all the way out of the format and make people feel bad because the card that they really love, they can't play anywhere anymore. Like Golos, maybe people would be a little bit more understanding of some of the bannings if, yeah, you can't play it as your commander, but at least you can still use it in the 99 and put something else as the leader of your 5-color deck. So I am fully on team banned as commander, and I think it improves the format.
Yeah, I mean, there's just things that the only reason why they're problematic in the format is just because you have constant access to them, much like Leovold and Wheels, right? Yeah, like or that. But like, if it were just in the 99, I would not care at all.
Yeah, I think all the legendary creatures on the ban list come off if you do that. However, I think people are dreaming, right? Because I think people are thinking the RC will enforce these rules in some coherent manner, right? Like, do you think they're going to start banning stuff if they bring this in? I think they're just going to be hands off. Iona will still sit on the ban list still, and I don't think they're going to change it. So theoretically, I think I agree, but I think in reality, I don't think the RC is going to do much, right? Like, they're not going to go ham and mess up with the ban list and like 50 cards on and off when they do this, right?
In reality, it is a lot to then. Is it a lot? I mean, I don't know. They'd have to go through the whole announcement again, but
they'd have to
like,
go through the
Iona off the ban list.
whole announcement.
Right? Like, Iona's still sitting here. You expect them to like actually comb through every commander and then slap them onto the ban list and then unban these existing ones? Like,
Yeah,
I think Iona was banned like as part of the 99, right? Like, not many people are running her as a commander.
They shouldn't have to go through all the legends, though, right? Like, presumably, if something was so broken, it would just be outright banned with our current system. So I would think they just have. Well, yes, it doesn't always work that way in practice.
That just got reprinted. So
okay, yeah, banned or reprinted. Those are the two options with a broken card these days. I would think they just have to go through the ban list
with the ban, like Eminence Commanders.
Yeah, Eminence Commanders.
Like, would you ban Atraxa or something? Like, what would you ban, right? Like,
what would you ban?
I don't care. I don't care about stuff being banned. I would want to see stuff come unbanned. Like, I would say Braids comes off the full ban list, but is banned as a commander. Or Arrayo comes off the full ban list and is banned as a commander. So I'm viewing it more as a way to, like, get more cards into the format rather than take cards out of the format.
I'm exactly with all the cards. So there's Golos, Gristlebrand, Iona, Leovold, Emrakul, Braids.
I think Gristlebrand should stay. Like, so there's some commanders or some legendary creatures that I feel are only problematic when they're in the command zone. Like, having like a turn 2 Rafellos every single time is kind of obnoxious. But in the 99, I think it's more normal. Arayu 2, Black Braids 2. But then there's some cards that are actually much better than the 99, and I would much prefer them be like banned as part of the 99 and allowed as commander, like Grizzlebrand, for example.
Can't reanimate out of the command zone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think some of them, I wouldn't be like blanket unban everything. I would probably leave Grizzlebrand, for example, on the ban list, because I think just, Entomb into reanimate Grizzlebrand is too strong. But for the most part, I'm like Seth. I would be like, this is an opportunity to get more cards back available to people to play, and not so much to start banning more things. Like, I wouldn't care to ban Eminence commanders, even though I think they're like a design mistake. Like, but I don't think they're that harmful that they deserve banning.
And we get a ton of legends these days, so this is a nice little safety valve with Wizards printing so many cards that are legal as your commander. If something does prove to be a little bit too good, like Golos did not that long ago, Like, it's a middle ground that you can take and just ban it as a commander and leave it in the 99. And I don't really see a downside. Like, what's the downside to having 2 ban lists? Like, I know the RC's thing was maybe it's too confusing, which I think even Sheldon wrote an article recently and said, no, like, we don't actually believe that Magic players can handle it. Like, that's not what we were trying to say. But is there any downside to having a banned as commander rule?
Well, if it wasn't complexity, what was the...
It is complexity, right? So
I think it's only
I'll tell you the reality.
yeah.
The reality is the Wizards website does not have the official commander ban list anywhere. And it has it in an article and it's out of date, right? So now imagine you have 2 lists, right? So that's the problem. And I don't think that's a real problem, right? I think they can address it if they wanted to. But I think laziness, like, it kind of works, so let's not touch it. And we'll just keep chugging along, I think. I there's like 5 cards that we can add to the format, roughly. Is it worth, like, making all these changes for that? I think that's basically what they're saying, right?
That's basically what Sheldon said in his more recent article, that he didn't think it was worth making format-level rules changes for corner cases. You got a handful of commanders this applies to, so it's not really worth making a rule that's going to impact the entire format just to free 4 commanders, 5 commanders that happen to be on the ban list, basically.
I feel like it's a good future proofing though. Like, yes, it won't affect that many. I would say maybe, I don't know, like 6. I agree with Golos, for example. Golos in the 99 I don't think is problematic whatsoever. But then, like, that also sets the precedent at going forward, where if there's a commander that is both popular and, you know, net fun loss, you could just ban it as the commander and people can still enjoy it in the 99. So they already changed it. Like, I mean, just change it back, right? Like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like such a hard change, but okay, whatever.
I think we all agree on this one.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy one. All right. Well, it was also the most popular suggestion out of the entire bunch. We're not going to talk about hybrid rule change. That was the second most popular, but I'm just going to acknowledge that was the second most popular thing, but we've already talked about that to death, so we're not going to waste an entire new podcast on that. So we're going to move to the third most popular thing, which I actually didn't think about for a long time. Ego-ish recommended or suggested amongst a lot of people introducing a type of sideboard to Commander again, or not again, for once, basically to allow lesson and learn cards to work, because Strixhaven had a new mechanic, the lesson mechanic, learn mechanic, where you can cast a spell that says learn, and that will allow you to go to your sideboard and select like a lesson card, card type from your sideboard and put that into your hand. And it was kind of like a little toolbox thing that you can have in your sideboard. And wishes are a type of tutor effect that allow you to tutor a card from exile / your sideboard. So that's what people were suggesting. What do you all think about introducing a sideboard to enable these type of cards?
This should have happened a long time ago. This is one of the biggest things I like personally in Commander, just because it's nice to have. Like, you could get, like, Praetor's Grasp, right? And this kind of, like, allows you to, like, keep maybe a key piece or something in your sideboard for you to wish later. So you're still able to do whatever it is your deck wants to do. And I just like the flexibility of Wishboards. And, yeah, of course, Lesson Learn and future cards that allow you to pull from outside the game, or, like, cards like Karn the Great Creator, right? I think these are all cards that are okay in Commander. I think it's totally fine to have wishes, and I would like to see some kind of sideboard that can implement something like the best of one sideboard in Arena, where you just have 7 cards as opposed to like 15, and then you just pick your 7.
I'm actually pretty against having wishes work in Commander. I'm on the other side, where my fear, I like having more cards be playable. I think in general that's a positive, but I'm honestly worried that this would just be too broken. Like, I think it would be very, very easy to have all these silver bullets or hate cards. Like, I think if you did this, you're going to be banning stuff like Karn. You're going to be banning at least Mycosynth Lattice. I imagine that you have this wishboard that's just like, okay, here's a Wrath, here's a Hoser, here's whatever, and it just leads to very unfun gameplay. And there's a ton of these cards now. Wizards is very aggressive at printing wishes, so you can play a lot of them now. So I'm worried that it would actually just be too strong for the format and lead to more spiky decks, and that would be kind of like the trend of the format as a result of this. Like, I'm not against something like Lessons working in the format, I guess, which technically probably requires a sideboard of some kind, but I think like Burning Wish or Karn or like the Good Wish cards would actually just be like maybe the strongest cards in the entire format. I think you're talking like Demonic Tutor level like brokenness by having access to a sideboard.
I actually completely disagree with Seth.
Really?
I would say add the sideboard and make it unlimited so the cards do what they read, right? When you read the card, it says from outside the game, your intuition is I'll hop into my collection and yoink something out, right? Like, you're not even thinking like, oh, let me pull out my 7-card sideboard. Like, and how broken would it actually be? Like, you can tutor a 99-card deck and have single silver bullets all over the place, right? I don't think gameplay-wise it's that bad. And like Seth said, Wizards keeps printing these stupid wish cards, and every time they print it or add a new mechanic, you're like, oh, I can't play this in Commander. That's unfortunate. And then things like Lesson Learned get randomly hit, right? Even though that's not even that powerful. So I would say they should definitely do this, and they should just make it unlimited. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, really dig through your binder for like a Wrath, a Karn Lattice? Like, sure, if you want, but you could have Thoracled someone if you really want to do that, right? You most likely are gonna be hype, go downstairs, pull out some box, spend 8 years digging out some stupid artifact that does nothing and waste everyone's time, and that's hilarious, right?
I mean, that's not really hilarious, though. Like,
I think
that's the fun, right? That's that's like the super casual fun, right? Like, oh, I have the perfect card for the situation.
Yeah.
That one time from the Grand Prix, I have this promo. Let me go get it, right? Burning Wish it out, right? Like,
I fully agree with Richard there. I think it allows to more hilarious nonsense, and on top of that, like, they should make it so you can play silver borders, so this way I can go get a silver border card and force that.
But is that how people are actually going to use it, though?
Come on!
Is that actually how people will use it? Are people going to go get their janky fun thing out of their binder? Or is it going to be, oh, like, here's my tendrils, here's my other combo piece, like, I locked you, I won the game. Like,
but you would have put it in your deck and put the 80 tutors in the format in to accomplish the same thing, right? You don't need, like, the 8th demonic tutor, which is Burning Wish, right? Like, you already have, like, 8 demonic tutors in the format.
But it gives you extra card slots. You can pay more narrow effects that you wouldn't want in your main deck and still be able to snag them, like something like a Null Rod or something. You might not want to play a Null Rod, but then if you run into the guy who's trying to do their cool treasure thing, you're just like, oh, Burning Wish Null Rod or whatever, gotcha. Like, I mean, I feel like that's how it'll play out in practice, rather than like, oh, here's my big dino.
Annoying if that's the kind of deck you want to play, right? You know what I mean? Like, you have a choice not to do this, right?
I'm more on set, but my thing is I think it would be better if we had less tutors as opposed to more, because it is like a singleton 99 card format. Like, the intent there was to have variety, and all these cards essentially are just tutors, right? All of them are tutors, and you're just essentially bringing in Demonic Tutor 2, 3, 4 into the game. And yeah, we already have Demonic Tutor. Yeah, we have Ambig Tutor, but these are competitive for slots 3 and 4 and 5, I think. Like, Burning Wish is just a Demonic Tutor if you're looking for sorceries. And, you know, Glittering Wish, you're looking for a multicolored card. Then there's, like, straight up Wish, like the 3-mana Wish that we got printed last year in AFR. So, I don't know. Like, it is kind of cool that you could just, like, you know, search your binder for the ultimate card. But I feel like it's just going to be like CEDH are going to immediately gobble them up, and then high power, and then it's going to kind of like trickle down to other play groups. It's like, well, I'm already running Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor. I guess I'll just run, you know, XYZ Wish. You know, I want my Living Wish now because that's just my Demonic Tutor number 2, right? I don't know. Is that good?
But lesson learned, guys.
Lessons, they're so bad. Like, no one actually cares about playing lessons. Like, very, very few people are like actually actively wanting to be able to get a lesson out of their sideboard.
people are going to want to run the good cards. Like, okay, you allow wishes and lesson learn to work. The 5 people who are excited about lesson learn are going to be super happy and they're going to jam that. But really, what cards are going to be played out of this? It's going to be Living Wish. It's going to be Wish. It's going to be Glittering Wish, Burning Wish, Cunning Wish, Death Wish. Right? Like those are the ones that are actually good. And those are the ones that are going to see play, and they're going to be like
Karn and Mastermind's Acquisition,
So what if we banned those specific ones, the ones that let you tutor anything?
You just want to play lesson learn, don't you, Richard? That's where it's at. This is your
I don't like
ban.
Oh, I feel like the RC does. I just don't like banning on power level, right? Because if you wanted to be that guy that had like 8 tutors, you could be that guy, right? If you want to be the guy to Karn lattice lock someone, you could be that guy without, you know, this mechanic. So to like just scrap the whole mechanic because of that, I feel is a bit unfair, especially since Wizards keeps printing these stupid outside the card games, like, or outside the game cards. You want to play them in the next set when they make them, right?
But doesn't that go against like the intent of the format though? If it's 99 cards singleton and you're like,
we have tutors already.
We have to, right. But that's not a good excuse to like just print more. It's like, oh, we have Sol Ring already. Let's print Sol Ring number 2 that like makes a treasure when it enters the battlefield as well. Like, what? No, we already have enough.
They feel as part of the game because they keep making tutors as well, right? It's not like they've stopped like Sol Ring, where like, you know, they're like, okay, we're not making any more. They keep making new tutors.
Jeweled Lotus.
There was actually a second suggestion from someone on this topic, which I really like, which is let the wishes get cards from exile, which I think was part of how they originally worked. That exile was also considered to be outside the game, but then it changed to mean sideboard when they updated the rules. How about that as a solution? Like, more pull from eternities, essentially. I kind of like that. Like, it's much narrower, but it's another way that you can get back an important piece that happened to get exiled throughout the game. That's not going to be overpowered, I don't think.
Yeah, they exist. People don't run it, really.
Yeah,
like I run Karn to getting Cauldron because I know Krim is going to exile and hopefully face up, so I could get it back. But like, yeah,
so it'd be too underpowered, basically. Like no one would play the wishes if that was the rule.
I mean,
I would play them.
We're like Mastermind's Acquisition, right? Which that can get something from exile or from your deck. But like,
Rift Sweeper is a 2 mana that gets back any card from exile back into your hand. 2 mana.
Really?
ETB. Rift Sweeper. Yeah.
What color is it?
Green.
It's green.
Let me read this card. That cannot be the text.
Yeah.
Rift Sweeper,
I do all of the exile returning cards.
When Rift Sweeper, okay, it's a 2 mana, 2/2 green creature. When Rift Sweeper enters the battlefield, choose target face-up exiled card. Its owner shuffles it into their library.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's library.
So
Pull from Eternity. Pull from Eternity is 1 mana, and it puts it into your graveyard.
Okay.
So more Karn puts it directly to your hand.
Karn puts it in your hand, but it has to be artifact.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, Burning Wish would just put it into your hand, I think, is how it would work.
Yeah, I don't know put it directly into your hand. With no downside.
Play that or not.
My question, though, is, like, is this not better to fight the broken stuff? Because if you know someone is doing something at a higher power level, I can now tutor and get something to, like, maybe stop them.
But you could do that at low power, too. You could just tutor for something and stop them, too.
Right, but now I don't have
usually
to play.
If it's something
but I don't
that
have
you
to
can
play
use
something
to stop
narrow.
high power can use it to either stop you or power it out. So usually it's a wash, right? Like usually it makes no difference.
That's
right?
what you want to do, though, right? Yeah. You want to make it so that it's exactly whatever their best. Like they go and get something broken, you now have an answer to it, or maybe like, hey, I can play my deck the normal fun way, but like randomly I get paired against someone who is just like mono. I don't know, like Immortal Sun or something like that, right? Well, now I can keep something that blows up an artifact or enchantment out of the sideboard, and then some, which means
but they can just as easily just tutor up a perfect protection or combo piece or whatever. Like, it works both ways.
It does, but like it just gives you now something to fight back with too.
But then don't you end up in the like mental misstep problem where it's like everyone's got to be doing this because they're doing it, so I got to do it because
that's why it's
a
wash for power level, but you can play lesson learned.
Oh god!
like power level, I think it's a wash, right? Like it's fine, but now you can do all this weird stuff.
I would be okay with a house rule to allow lesson learned, just like they did for companions. They changed the rules for companions. I'm okay if they change the rules for lesson learn. You know what? Fine.
What's the rule change for companion for this?
Companion wasn't supposed to work.
Yeah. there's no zone for it, so they made a companion zone essentially.
Yeah, specifically so like the rules committee made that change to allow companion.
The other thing that I will say we haven't mentioned is it would also increase the cost of decks to some extent, which is probably a negative. Like, I've heard enough Arena players say that one of the reasons they play Best of One is they don't want to buy 15 sideboard cards. That's 15 more wild cards they got to spend. So if you got to get some, extra cards to put in each deck, that does technically increase the cost, like, to build the best versions of decks.
Technically, it's not the cost of your deck. It's just the cost of your collection set.
Oh, that's true.
I only buy booster boxes, so I don't have to buy singles. Yeah, well, all right.
So we're split on this one.
We're a bit split, but it was definitely a good topic to consider. All right, we'll move on to one that I thought kind of interesting by Cryosonus. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Basically, flip cards should be able to be commanders even if the original side isn't a legendary creature. So there's a bunch of cards. I can think of Kamigawa in particular, where it would start off as just like a non-legendary creature. You fulfill a certain requirement and you flip it over, and boom, there's a legendary side, and that is a legendary creature. I think, doesn't that same thing happen with the sagas from Neo Kamigawa? I think there's a legendary creature on the side.
Yep. So like those, Fable the Mirror Breaker or something would be an example.
So those could hypothetically be...
Oh.
It's not?
Unless you put a saga in your command zone.
Oh, you're right.
Let's say you're Crim, and you put a Westvale Abbey in your command zone to always hit your land drops.
Oh, it's not a legendary.
Because the backside is a legendary creature, right?
So the sagas wouldn't work because they're not legendary creatures on the backside, but like the flip ones would work. And if there was like hypothetically like a flip walker or something that was not legendary on one side and then
Elbrus, I think, is one that actually it's an equipment and then it flips. Yep. I think that's one.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh, I want Elbrus as my commander. Oh, that'd be... Westvale Abbey. That they mentioned that
Westvale
one too,
Abbey.
actually. They could have a land as your commander. That probably would be banned because a land as your commander is pretty darn good. But yeah, I like this. What do you guys think?
I think this could lead.
Why?
Elbrus, though. You have a dagger as your commander. It's a 7-drop.
I hate to use this argument because we just kind of laughed at the RC for using it, but do we want to make format-wide changes to like let one relevant card be legal as your commander? I kind of feel like we're doing that same thing. But, I mean, I wouldn't care. Elbrus being your commander is sweet, but do we need a rule change? And with how many double-face cards Wizards are printing, what would the long-term effects of this be? Like, are we going to end up in a position where there's tons of non-creatures as people's commanders? Would that be a positive or a negative? I don't really know, but Wizards does love printing double-sided cards, so I could see in the future this having a big impact on the format, even if right now it's kind of Elbrus that would be the only thing that really matters, or a couple other cards.
Well, there's some Enlightened Bushi.
The Vorthos is killing me. It reminds me of Transformers. You know how Megatron transforms into a gun? And like Starscream just like waves him around. It's like, who's leading this vast army? It's like a pocket knife and someone... Oh, it's Elbrus. It's just a pocket knife. He hasn't transformed yet. Don't worry about it, right? Like, why is this artifact leading your command, your army, right?
I'm gonna get Richard on board so easy, okay?
Mech Titan?
Bushi Tenderfoot. Oh, Mech Titan would be sick.
Mech Titan. Oh, I've sold a Mech Titan, but what was your Ushi Tenderfoot?
Well, this one, okay. Mech Titan is a lot better. Bushi Tenderfoot, 1 mana, white, human soldier, 1/1. When a creature dealt damage by Bushi Tenderfoot this turn dies, you flip it into Kenzo the Hard-Hearted Double Strike Bushido 2/3/4. You go Voltron with a Bushi Tenderfoot. You style on them. This would be like Deck of Many Things Voltron all over again. You've killed your opponents with Bushi Tenderfoot. How amazing is that?
Mech Titan Core deck.
Oh my god, Mech Titan Core deck would be actually bananas. I would pay.
I mean, if we're gonna do this, I would say just allow anything in the command zone at this point, right? Like, you might as well, right? If you're gonna do this, like just have anything in the command zone, and then just ban like the combo pieces, right?
So any legend is your commander? I don't know.
No, any creature.
Any
or anything,
creature.
actually.
Yeah, Mech Titan wouldn't even
But
work.
any creature could be a lot safer, right? But just allow anything. Like, does it matter if you're legendary or not anymore in 2022? Because WotC just slaps that
Everything's
left and
a
right,
legend,
right?
yeah, so-
right?
Shurikai
Like-
is just a vehicle that's a legendary now, so...
I think if it's not legendary, that starts getting weird, right? Like that's we.
Does it? Why can't a lowly grunt lead an army? Why? Would you put in his
trust-
time, worked his way up the corporate ladder, and now he's the face of your commander deck?
Well, okay. The thing is, because when you put it sounds like you're putting the new guy in charge, right? It's like, hey, this is the new guy. He just got hired. Now let's let him run the entire company. Let's see what happens. You know, like. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know, just something about the idea of a non-legendary. Is that not like the nature of the entire
How about the
format?
other way? How about a legendary non-creature? Like a legendary artifact as your commander.
That's problematic. That's super problematic. Oh my god.
Isn't it like a Mox or something?
It
that's
would
like
be kind
legendary?
of fun.
Put Mox Amber, can't activate itself.
You'd have to have restrictions. You'd have to bring back Banda's commander because a lot of stuff would have to be banned. But
Yeah.
Isn't like Gaius Cradle legendary? Yeah, he's just
that would
my
be
commander's
hilarious.
Gaius Cradle. All
You'd
right,
have to ban
let's
lands.
party.
That's so
Lands would
like
have to be-
flavor whack. Like that's not even like it's just like, oh, that's
could you
sick,
imagine,
dude.
what about like? Could you imagine Thrumming Stone being your commander? Oh my god, that would be so sweet. Like there, cool things would happen as our deck of many things could be your commander. So it would open up new possibilities.
It's
but
cool in theory.
Yeah.
Thrumming Stone as your commander would be so boring so quick. Like it'd just be like,
It'd
I
be
did the
sweet
thing
once.
one time. Yeah,
yeah. It's sweet
And then you'd
once.
regret, like, oh, I spent $500 on this deck. I'm already bored of it. Game one.
yeah.
Okay,
so it
so where
probably
do we
wouldn't
end
be
up
good
on
overall.
Elbrus as your commander? are we accepting the dagger as your commander?
Hashtag free Elbrus.
No, I don't think I'm on that.
All right.
I don't think I'm on that.
I don't want it that much.
If you want to play it against me, I would totally let you rules you it in, but I don't think we should change the rule for it. But if you want to build a deck and play it, I'm not gonna stop you because I think Elbrus as a commander would be kind of fun.
I'll take that, even though it hurts me. I'll take it. All right. Moving on from flip cards, we have another one that is hotly requested. The community knows this request quite well. So we'll see what everybody has to say about this. Planeswalkers as commanders. MPD guy, Justin, you both suggested it, got lots of upvotes. Planeswalkers as commanders. Basically, like, you just allow all Planeswalkers as commanders. You would ban the ones that are the most powerful or problematic in the command zone, just like everything else, I guess. And, yeah. What do you think about that? Because Planeswalkers are kind of like the face of Magic the Gathering, and much like legendary creatures, a lot of people will attach themselves to Planeswalkers because they are characters, they usually have lore, they usually have personalities and stuff. So I think they kind of make sense as commanders. And even Wizards of the Coast agrees to some extent because a lot of the exception to the rule commanders are Planeswalkers, right? Like Amanatu and whatnot. So...
Well, I mean,
what do you
Brawl will tell you that they believe in this, right?
Yeah. In Brawl, it actually is a rule that Planeswalkers can also be your commander.
I mean, this is
go ahead.
perfect. I think this is
As the
like,
Super Friends player.
as the Super Friends player, but on top of that, but like they make sense, right? Like as opposed to a random legendary land or like an artifact, right?
You leave Elbrus out of this.
Elbrus did nothing wrong.
I'm not gonna name any specific pocket knives, but like the thing is, like the Planeswalkers actually have lore as mentioned, and they are a moving part of like Magic's like canon, right? And I think that's why they make sense in the command zone. So it's like that and legendary creatures I'm A-okay with. Even if it means like somebody has 3 fairy as their commander, whatever, right? Like that's cool.
So I'm a yes on Planeswalkers as your commander, but I think there is a cost. Like the cost is, I really truly think some cards that people really love in Commander are going to have to be banned, like Doubling Season. I don't think you can let commanders be your Planeswalker and let easy, like, 2-card ultimate Planeswalker combo pieces exist. So I think that's a question I would have for everyone. Like, let's say the equation is you can have Planeswalkers be your commander, but something like Doubling Season is just going to have to be outright banned in the format. Is it still worth it? Is it worth giving up your Doubling Season for your counters decks or your token decks if that means you get to play with Planeswalkers as your commander? I think the answer is still yes for me, but I don't know.
I don't see a noticeable difference between, like, if
that
you have a
Godo.
Planeswalker and Doubling Season. Like, you could already do that, right? So,
Well, but you don't get in your command zone, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
have a
get to
2-card
start with your
one
combo
of
in
which
the
is in
command
your
zone.
What if I just play Godo and get Helm of the Host?
yeah. Like, we already
true.
have easy 2-card
Yeah.
combos. So just don't play them at casual tables.
You gotta pull the RC. You don't
Yeah.
play it on power level. Because if people want to do degenerate stuff, they can do degenerate stuff.
Degeneracy happens in Commander regardless. So I guess like that's why I don't think that's that big a deal.
Yeah,
that's
well, what
like
about like
casual
Quasar Peer
degeneracy.
through the depths? Like one shot a person with your 2-card combo, and one of them's in your command zone. Like those are a dime a dozen now.
Grab it.
But that combos with literally any Planeswalker with green in its mana cost. Like, the best thing you can do with literally any deck where a Planeswalker is your commander is play Doubling Season and then play your commander. It's not like, there's this one fringe commander that combos with this fringe card. Every Planeswalker deck should do that, is their main thing. Tutor up Doubling Season, play your commander, ultimate your commander, win the game. Like,
Some
is that a play pattern?
Ultimates, though.
But is that a play pattern we want to be common? Like, that's the question. Like, if we free the Planeswalkers, there's a lot of Planeswalkers. Do we want Commander to be about that play pattern? That's my only catch for being, like, fully unban, or, like, let them all be legal as your commander.
Season in Historic? No, right?
No.
Can you do this in Historic Brawl?
No, you can't do it in Brawl.
Like
I guess
I don't know,
Vorinclex, sort of, but...
Yeah, Vorinclex is a possibility, sure, but like I don't know. I mean, like that play pattern is that any worse than any of the other two like card combos? I just don't think it is.
Like if you're in a
Just ban
super
Doubling
fan.
Season. Because you need this, like...
Well, there's a lot of Doubling Season effects,
Just like Depot Skate and such.
right?
Because the
Yeah.
flavor, like... What's better than a legendary creature? A literal planeswalker, right? Like that. Like if Commander was not invented so early, I could have foreseen a world where you have a planeswalker as the head of your deck, and that's it, right? And nowadays we'd have like 8 million planeswalkers being printed as WotC cashes in, right? So
Yeah.
it just makes sense. Like, why can Teferi as a creature or something be my commander, but not Teferi as a planeswalker, when the planeswalker one is arguably way more powerful? So I think if Doubling Season needs to go, then it needs to go, but I would just let it be. Like, there are plenty of 2-card combo commanders. It's a power level thing, right? Just don't bring it to a casual table.
I don't think they'd be too powerful in general. Like, Planeswalkers in general are not very good, so I think they'd, in general, be pretty weak commanders, like, as a group.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Like some would be particularly strong. Like the 4-player Teferi would be pretty good. But,
Well, and then you, I guess you ban a lot of these changes do seem to depend on the RC being more active with the ban list, maybe, which I don't know if I want. Do we really want to be like, hey, let's do this, RC, like, ban a bunch of stuff, and, maybe.
ban a bunch of stuff. Like ban one card. Wow.
It'd be fun, though. What about the second part of the question, which was all other legendary types? I guess we already talked about that, but Justin asked, like, legendary enchantments or artifacts. Are we just all a hard no on non-planeswalkers?
It just doesn't make sense flavor wise. That's the thing for me. I don't know. I mean, it just seems weird if I get paired against a Gaia's Cradle deck, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Free Elbrus. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I've been won over on not extending that to everything. Planeswalkers, though, I'm down for.
They have to be sentient, okay? So.
Yeah. Fair. All right. Well, the Elbrus Blade is actually a sentient weapon, but whatever.
Wait, what? The
pocket
blade is
knife?
alive?
It imprisons a demon with Engar.
It imprisons it, but is it alive?
it's
like a box can imprison an animal. It doesn't mean the box is alive.
I guess prison realm isn't.
He is definitely he's alive in a sense that.
Will the blade get up, walk around, and cut me if I just leave it on the table, or will it just sit
all
there?
right, all right.
Calder complete. Calder complete. That's living. That's literally a living weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cauldron Complete would be the one where
As my commander.
I could see that as a commander. I would believe that.
Yeah.
I would believe
You would
that.
allow me to play Cauldron Complete
Yeah.
as my commander.
Yeah.
Sick. All right. Moving on. We got there were a couple suggestions on like changing how the advantage of going first, how impactful the advantage of going first is in Commander. And one such a suggestion was a rule to reduce the advantage of going first, such as scrying. So MPD guy again comes out with another highly outvoted suggestion. A house rule we use to balance turn order is a rolling scry. Second player scries 1, third player scries 2, and fourth player scries 3. Because, you know, going first is definitely a benefit, especially at higher power tables. But this a little scry effect, what do you think about that as balancing it out a little bit?
Is it really
I like
that much of an advantage?
It's
I would
something.
like
Let's say
something
not
for,
CDH.
for not going for, like, going last is the worst.
Going
It's
last
the-
sucks, but like, is there a
Yeah.
difference between going second and third, or
It
like
certainly
third
feels
and fourth?
bad.
Yeah, I almost would rather like do something to help the player who goes fourth rather than hurt the
Yeah.
player that goes first. Like, I see that as a bigger issue. Someone's got to go first, but it is a bummer to be last. But I don't know how to really solve it. The scry idea is cool, and I guess it lets you like dig for a ramp spell or something. You get 3 looks to find your soul ring to like get ahead of the table. Which
You
I
can
guess
read your
is
keeps.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think you can. What you can do is you let them draw, but on top of that, this is a brand new idea, original. You give them a coin, right?
Hearthstone
Oh,
style.
sorry, a lotus petal.
Treasure
a lotus
token.
petal.
Give them a treasure token.
It's a treasure token. Yeah, the player who goes last
Power
gets a
up dark
treasure
side.
token.
But then doesn't that just mean third place is now in the worst spot because
Yes.
like you're too
Now they're
you're not
turn one
really
vote.
Give
know.
them 2/3 of a coin.
I actually like the rolling scry. I don't think it's that crazy.
Wouldn't you
Like
always just want to go fourth to take the scry 3?
no, I'd rather go
was
first.
I was worried it was on the other side of things where it wasn't powerful enough to really matter. Like I don't think it's enough to make me want to go fourth, but would that
doesn't-
balance it? I would assume that with that system I would think first would still have an advantage. Like I think going first
Yeah.
is better than going fourth and scrying 3 by quite a bit still. But it
So,
does
I
help
agree
with
but
that.
right now-
that'd be better.
Right now, there has to be something though, right? Because like it does feel like absolutely abysmal to go last.
There's
Yeah.
certainly a lot of games where like if I had another turn, I'd win. Right? Like we say that a lot, and you know, like some of that comes down to
The game
I was in
plays
fourth.
out differently when that
Yeah.
happens. Like the thing with the scry 3 is if you if you can scry 3 into a soul ring, you just catapulted ahead. You know what I mean? Like it starts off like this, but it doesn't end up like this, right? Like the positioning of the people dramatically change based on what they do on turn 1 and turn 2, right? So I feel I would actually just take the scry 3 if that was the case.
What about player 1 only
That makes
gets
it pretty
6 cards?
balanced.
Yeah.
Would that be too
Wait, what?
much? If you go first, you only get to draw 6 cards if you win the die roll.
Oh, no,
Everyone else
that
gets
would-
7.
I wouldn't go first.
2. Okay, 2 punishing. I like the idea of like giving the last player the Monarch. The problem is that's
would
almost
do that
always
for
just going to
singles.
lead you discarding the hand size on turn 1, so it doesn't
No,
actually do much.
It also
It's
puts a
even
hit
it's
on
even
you
worse
immediately.
because that means
Yeah.
like who's going to be most likely to steal the monarch, the person who went first, right? Like they're gonna have their creature out the turn before you can have your creature out, especially if it has haste. Like they just
But
get
you
a free
get the
monarch
first draw
out of it.
on your end step. So
Yeah, so you get the first draw, and then I guess
And
if
then
someone
you
played a
discard
1
the hand
drop, they
size.
could.
I mean, so
the
for you
discard the
guys
hand
who
size
want to go
thing is a
first,
bummer.
what can I entice you with such that you would go last? Is the scry 1 enough? Is a gold token enough? What about a clue token? You can't cash it in now, but maybe later you can cash it in for a card. A 1/1? Like, I don't know, right? Like just a
Maybe.
1/1 creature?
I think
It
you have
might-
to do it without like screwing over player 3 too. Like you can't just give fourth player a gold treasure token and be like, oh, it's all fixed now.
I mean,
would the scries and a treasure token work? If you're like, so the rolling scries happen, but the last place person would then also get like a treasure on top of that.
I think
I
a
would
treasure
still I'd
and
just do
scry
rolling
3.
scry.
Yeah,
That might be too much. Then I might actually want to go fourth. If I got a treasure and a scry
I have
3.
a question. When you win the die roll and ask if you want to play first, and you say no, who plays first? Do they, like,
You choose. You choose.
Oh, you
so I
can
can
choose
choose
who
to be
plays
fourth
first?
if I win the die roll in this new system, is what we're saying?
yeah,
I mean, that's the current system.
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
I think
with
rolling
3
scry is
scries
enough.
and a
Okay.
like the rolling
I think
scries.
3 is enough, I think.
I-
I would take
I'm
it.
not-
I don't
I'm
know
not
how
a
many
fan
people
of
are like you to
treasures.
take the Scry 3, though.
Yeah, I'm not a
I
fan
would
of
definitely
treasure. I
take
feel
a
like
free
that's
treasure.
super overkill.
I'd be
Yeah.
fine with trying it. Like, I do think it's a problem that's worth investigating and trying to fix, so I like the rolling scry idea.
Well, what about free mulligan? Like, if you're the 4th player, you get, like, additional mulligans at 7.
Ooh.
I think that's just a more messy version of Scry
Like
3,
Scry.
though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Scry 3 would be faster to resolve.
more shuffling, yeah.
Or, like, more life or something. You can, like, start at 50 or something weird like that. That's also a possibility.
Oh, it'll
Plus,
just be
most
weird.
of the games
That's-
that I play, they're already free mulligans. It doesn't even matter. Everybody just kind of mulligans anyways into a
Yeah,
like,
You
yeah,
get to
with the
stack
small
your deck.
town.
You get to.
Yeah.
How about you get a free wish?
Oh, God.
But life total would
You
be
get a
another way
lesson learned card.
Life total would be another way you could impact the whole table too, though. If there's a concern about player 3 or something, like you could have everyone have a different starting life total based on their seat. Like player 1 starts with 30, player 2 whatever, 33, 36, 40, something like that. Like that could work. It's kind of complicated. I don't know if we want to deal with it, but that would be
I think
something
the
that
Scry
could
is the
help.
cleanest. If
I
we're
like
saying
Scry.
drawing or mana is too powerful, then I guess Scry is the next.
It also like
Thing.
punishing people for being first or something just kind of feels weird. You know, it's like you went first, and therefore you start at lower life total. Like I don't know.
Well, is it any different though if like you started at 40 but everyone else started at a higher life total? That would be the same in practice, right? So you just don't like the life idea overall, really?
Yeah, I don't like life in total, because also then when you're choosing who do I attack, oh, the person with the highest life total, ha ha ha. I'm
What
like,
if you
oh,
choose the person who went first?
yeah.
Yeah, I like the rolling scry. We should try it.
Yeah.
I
Is
would
3
like-
enough? Like, so we want rolling, so 1, 2, 3?
That's pretty
Yeah.
simple. I would start
Right?
there, and if it's not enough, you can tweak the numbers from there. But that seems like a good starting point, at least.
And so if this was the rule and you won the die roll, what position would each of you choose?
First.
First,
I think
Fourth.
you want to be
Really?
incentivized to go first, but you
Right.
like
You guys
right?
are really
because
obsessed about tempo. Like, I don't know, to me, Commander's not a tempo game, right? Like, I'd rather just rack up advantages. And if you really cared about tempo, I think there's an argument to be said that Scry 3 gives you greater tempo. Like, if I scry to a Soul Ring, then I win tempo automatically and set up 2 other draws.
I mean,
But I
Scry 3
don't think
just
tempo is
says
that important either.
Scry 3 is basically like you like half a mull, you know, like
It's like
you
one
can
and a
keep
half
greedier
cards.
keeps, yeah.
Right?
You have a
'Cause if
better
every
starter.
scry is half, then that,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, and like,
I mean, yeah, if Scry's, that's a draw 1.5, right? That's better than
Right.
you draw 1 card, right? If you go by that math.
but I still think that I want to go first anyways, just because like accounting for tap lands, et cetera,
Plus
MTFCs.
catch-up ramp, guys. Catch-up ramp.
yeah.
Then you'd go second if you cared about that, right? But I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah,
would go
well,
last.
much like Tomer just mentioned, I think that it's not about like wanting to like you're always gonna want to go first, but you just need something to kind of help soften the blow that you're
Yeah,
going.
the gap
against.
needs to be smaller.
Yeah, it's not bad that there's an advantage to going to first to some extent, I think. Like, it's unavoidable, and there should be a reward for winning the die
the
roll.
ideal is you should keep increasing the scries until like there's an even distribution of choices, right?
Yeah.
So like at the point where like 50-50 you want to go first and last, then it's like the perfect ratio, right?
I think you should have a slight advantage for going first, just so you
Why?
don't
For
have
winning
to
a
have
random die roll at the start of the game.
Yeah,
Why?
because it speeds up the process instead of having to sit down and think about whether or not you just be like yes, but you know the gap between that and
should be small.
Yeah. Just so you can get the game going. Like, instead of people being like, hey,
There's this whole
do I go first or do I go last? Do I do no, just go first. You won. Good job. You won the die roll, right? You go first. Go. Have fun. I don't know. All right. So we talked about reducing the thing. Oh, this was actually a suggestion that kind of kickstarted the entire idea of this podcast. This is from Jacob Schmuck, so thank you so much. Basically, Jacob was saying, instead of tracking commander damage individually for each commander, what if we just bundled them all together? So instead of tracking individual commanders, you could just say, like, I took X amount of total commander damage this game. Whatever that total is now lethal, and you die if you get it. So it could be still 21, it could be 30, it could be less, who knows? But the idea is just like to simplify that, and then everybody can contribute to commander damage. It would be easier to track at the very least, because you don't be like, hey, I took how much from this person, how much from that person. So it'd be a little bit easier. And then there could be a little bit more politicking, I guess. And it would make Voltron strategy stronger. So what do you all think about that?
I like the simplicity
you effectively
of
have
it.
20 life, right? Like, people just play their commanders and just smash one person and you're dead.
Yeah,
right? Like,
it does incentivize ganging up on one person more, for sure, with your commanders.
Yeah, that it could make it really easy to take someone out, which is probably a bad thing, although maybe that's a way you can actually try to attack the arch enemy. Like, if someone's way ahead with a huge board, you try to get your commanders evasive and, like, try to sneak out the win. But I still don't know if that's... I just don't know if that's a good thing. Do we even need commander damage in the year 2022?
well,
like,
yes.
do.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Life
Get around
gain decks
infinite
say
life
yes.
to get around like obscene life gain
Yeah.
to prop up entire archetypes like Voltron. The question is like, if the question is you want to just buff Voltron or something, right? Or buff attacking, is it better to just lower life totals or lower the commander damage threshold rather than try to add them up amongst different players? And what is the lore behind commander damage? I don't even understand why it's a thing to be.
Elder Dragons used to be your commander. That was, you didn't have a choice between legendary creatures. It had to be an Elder Dragon. Hence Elder Dragon Highlander, and all of them have stun power.
But why is there commander
So
damage?
three hits.
Three hits from an
attacks.
Elder Dragon is lethal. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Like
I
that.
actually
3 hits from your commander kills you. Rogak, go!
Oh god.
I like, is it bad that the games will end faster? Like, right? Because, like, I mean, as we start moving towards whatever Magic is becoming in Commander, games without even having sweepers and all this other stuff can, like, go for quite some time, right? So this does speed up the game, which is good if you don't want to sit around and play like a 2-hour game, right? You want to just go right to the next one. You can finish this one, go into the next one. So commander damage and like attacking in general kind of goes off the soft ban list, and I think I'd be interested in trying that. Yes, and trust me, I know, because I'm usually the arch enemy, and I don't mind dying a little bit faster. So I'm curious how that would play.
That was going to be my question. Does this speed up the game overall, or does this speed up one player's game who gets taken out early, and then the rest of the game goes back to, normal and you play for another hour? Because those are like...
That's
my least favorite games, when someone gets taken out early, someone gets off to the scary start, and like Phil draws his soul ring, gets a scary start, and we're like, oh, smash him with our commanders for a turn, we gotta get rid of him, and then he has to sit around for 2 hours while we continue to play a nice fun game of Commander. So that would be my worry, that might happen a little bit too often. I don't think like the games overall being shorter, if it ends for everyone, is a bad thing. I think that's probably a positive, but I just worry about one player getting ganged up on and taken out. Not that we shouldn't try it, but that would be that's my one concern about it.
The ganging up part, it's like, if somebody pops off too hard, then, like, you gotta check them, right? Like, that's just how it goes. So
but
I
does
guess
it make
I
it
don't
too
care.
easy to check them? If you can all just, like, everyone attacks them once with their commander, and they're dead, basically. Is it too easy to check
It's just
them?
like a flavor thing. Like, why is this even I don't know what the justification of this is. And if you wanted to make it easy to gang up someone, just reduce starting life totals to 30 or something like that, right? Like, But like, why is your commander damage adding to mine? Maybe the tracking. So if you play paper, you track your commander damage.
That is an upside.
Super obnoxious, so that simplifies it.
I like that. I mean, it does simplify it. It does feel a lot better because then, like, oh, by the way, that's 2 of my commander damage,
maybe,
7 of that.
Maybe
one.
it is better just for that tracking reason.
And I mean, we don't
I
have to
think
play
I'd try
Elder
this.
Dragons anymore. So what about like doing this, combining it, but then upping it to 30 or something, like a middle ground
You know
there?
how hard it is to kill someone with commander damage.
Yeah.
Well, but it's everyone's commander damage, so you're probably going to get some incidental help from someone at some point in the game. So it probably evens out. You probably still only need to deal 21 because someone else will get in the other
But like
9.
your deck doesn't work unless other people help you out. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, that's true.
I think 21 can stay. Like, I'd be very curious to try that actually, just see how that plays. I don't think it's if it speeds up the game.
You can actually look on
not that bad.
like watch commander clashes and see if you just added up commander damage. Like, did someone just like fall over randomly, like inadvertently?
But this would definitely incentivize more of teaming up. That's my worry is like, somebody gets hit for like 10 commander damage, and now it just makes sense to keep hitting that person with your commanders, even if you you would alter your attacks based on that.
But it
Does
also
that make
incentivizes
sense?
attacking, right? No one attacks with their creatures anymore. If you realize this, all their creatures are just giant value sticks, right? And like think about it. Like every creature has like 8 ETBs and statics now, and very rarely do you turn them sideways. So at least this makes you attack, even if your creature is not made for Voltron, right? Like outside Voltron attacking commanders, your stupid like 5/5 dragon can actually get in there and finish the job without extra stuff on it. So maybe,
Just
like
like
Krim said, attacking is soft ban. You don't attack in Commander in 2022, right? This is not a thing. You attack to infinitely combo somehow, right? Like you don't attack for the sake of damage anymore, right?
I played so many aggro decks. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The aggro decks are like into infinite combo
aggro decks,
overrun.
I
or
played
something,
Angel
right?
Tribal. What combo was like trying to pull off on that? I played like Dragon Tribal, and I killed you with damage.
To me, that's not attacking, right? To me, that is like you just make a giant board and one shot someone.
Angel Tribal is not attacking. I don't.
Is it?
What?
That's still attacking, though, isn't it? I don't know.
It's attacking, but it's not. I don't know. I don't.
What do you want from me?
You just build an unbeatable board in one shots. It's like a crater hoof kill, right? Like it's one of these. Like yes, you're attacking, right? But
You play like Rograk Arden like 50 times a season, Richard. It's an attacky deck.
I play
there's
attacking
nothing-
decks.
I play
saying the rest
attacky
of the
decks.
format does it, right? It's better to combo or to like get value out of your
True.
creatures, right?
Sure, but so
So this
attacky decks still
incentivizes
exist.
more attacking.
Sure,
But
there are other ways of approaching that too.
Monarch.
Yeah.
More Monarch.
Monarch.
Like add the Monarch to every game,
Yeah.
and like that could incentivize it too. So I think maybe that would be a better way to incentivize it. I do like the goal of incentivizing attacking, and that wraps around to Krim's point of like keeping games at a reasonable length. Like more attacking means games are going to end sooner. Just don't do it in a way that incentivizes like ganging up and killing
up.
one player. Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, because we were talking about alternative ways of speeding up the game because the games do feel slow, we'll just skip down 2 suggestions down to Midna Light. This was a couple of people suggested this, but lowering the starting life total. Instead of like playing around with cumulative commander damage, what would you think about lowering the starting life total from 40 to 30, for example?
I don't know. I mean, like, I like 40 life. I like 40 life. I think we're at the sweet spot. Any more, then it gets a little too like much of a slog. Any lower, then it's just like I don't know. Do we
It makes
lose?
aggro decks better.
It does make aggro
It
decks
does.
better, and it significantly then like things like Vampiric Tutor, and every bit of shock
Fetches,
damage,
shock
fetches,
lands, yeah.
right? Like that does start like actually coming at a cost.
Yeah. I really like it, actually. I wouldn't mind doing 30. I think there's a lot of upside.
What are the other upsides?
The abuse is so like so.
You make
if someone
aggro
gangs
decks
up on you
stronger.
or you stumble, like you're dead, right? Like that's The higher life total lets give you time to recover, so that
allows you to
plus
dirtle
side.
more. That's the main thing about 40 life.
I mean, you're thinking
you
of
don't-
the
you don't-
proactive case, right? But what if like
Right.
your mana screwed case, right? Like
Sure.
it gives you time to like recover a bit, right?
Well, we
Or,
don't
like,
beat up the person who's mana screwed usually, unless
I
they
don't
have
know
a curse of
about
opulence
that.
I
on
don't
them.
know about that.
They'll play
For
Miriam.
value. like when you start getting those 4 power hits in for value,
Yeah,
you die pretty quick at 30 life, right?
that's true.
And I think you
But-
also got to consider that creatures keep getting power crept too. Like 10 years ago, you could survive a few turns of creature attacks,
Yeah,
but
they
now
hit
when
harder.
everything's like a bomb and hitting so hard, well, shouldn't that speed up the format naturally? Isn't
Did
it
we
like
just
we're
say that
kind
we
of
don't attack
starting with
anymore,
less
though?
life?
Which one is it? Are we too good at attacking or too bad at attacking?
I think
I mean-
that I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's actually. I think 40 life is nice just because of what Richard had mentioned, the ability to recover, and it allows you to play, like, it doesn't just make it so it's a format that caters towards aggro either.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
aggro
also the
gets
control
nothing done,
player.
right? There's
Right,
no such thing
exactly.
as an aggro
Like
deck.
the control
CDH,
player,
right?
the combo player, the mid range player. These are all players that don't want to just be fully aggro, right? There's a lot like the 40 life is nice because it allows you to like give the slower decks also a way to play the game. The padding of life is nice, so I don't know
What-
if I like this.
What do we think an optimal game length is? I think that's a real question. Like, do we think that games of Commander need to be sped up? Is that kind of where we're at overall? Are games just too long now? If games aren't too long, then I don't even know. Then what's the point of really making changes to try to shorten the game length, like lowering
Where did
life
the
totals?
speed up thing come from? Like, why do we need to speed up Commander?
Well, the speeding up only came from the fact that, like, if everyone is attacking, right, like each other with like the commander damage, right? So that's why I brought the whole speeding up thing. Which it's fine that the game sped up, but like that's commander damage, whereas this is normal like health damage.
I mean, I can tell you my ideal game length is about an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
3-hour games get me very cranky. My brain starts to melt. Would like less of those. So we do speed it up.
And we
that's
do know
fine.
that games are going less turns on average, right? Overall,
Yes.
based on the research that we've seen. So
Yes.
games are going less turns, which should be shorter.
Speeding up in the wrong ways, though. That would be my argument against WotC. So WotC has decided to make treasures and ramp and stuff to really propel the game. But what happens is like 2 players draw their ramp, 2 players don't, and
Yep.
then 2 players run away with the game. Like they've broken the one land a turn, which creates equality, right? So games are faster, but I don't know if they're better.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I do agree with Tomer, though. It'd be nice to sit down for an hour and like have a fulfilling, balanced game of Magic and walk away happy. But I fear that we just walk away after 1 hour of someone exploding out of the gates with like 8 soul rings and winning. But then they took like 30 minutes to win because they're eggs or something. And then you just walk away salty, right?
I guess that's the other side of lowering the life total too, is it does make it easier for the person who explodes to kill people. Like there's less life that you have to deal with. So if you're the person that gets a fast start, right?
I think this helps. This helps kill the archenemy a lot easier, actually.
Yeah.
Because you have 3 people who have, you still have to go through what, like 90 life points, whereas everybody, like, it's more impactful for each individual person, rather, I think.
Maybe I'm biased because of the Miram game, where I just didn't make my land drops until turn 10, and I'm thinking
were
how that
very
would play out if
terrifying.
I was at 30 life.
Like,
Yeah.
like creatures are so strong. It like allows like the value creatures to kill people, right? Like you're playing like a 4-mana 4/4 with like 4 ETBs, and you're just
Yeah.
attacking for fun. But when you're at 30 life, you can't take that many 4 power
Yeah.
hits, right? So like it allows these like dirtily, your stupid dockside or just to like chip in and like actually finish the job. So
It might be, maybe creatures are a little bit too strong.
Land
These-
or
or-
elves are a threat. They're an
Yeah.
endgame.
I like the idea of making fetch lands and stuff less of a no-brainer and more like a decision.
Although
So I like the
honestly,
idea of lowering.
Those already
I don't know
set
if that'll
you, and
matter,
on top of
though.
that, MDFC's already set you at 30.
like in modern, people start off at 10 life. A lot of games you shock and fetch and jog and fetch, and no one's reevaluating if they should be playing fetch lands because like it's hurting their life total. So would it actually change things, or are they still just a no-brainer?
Yeah, you have multiple opponents, so lowering your life total is more impactful.
I mean, for real, it makes a difference in Modern, though, right? Because when you pair up against an aggro deck, you sweat every fetch and shock that you're doing, right? Like, there's actual decisions, even though you've decided that this is the best mana base. But if everyone was playing burn and aggro each week, I think you would adjust your mana base, right? But
yeah, that might be true if you ran into those matchups enough.
Dismal backwater path.
Or no, the other side is maybe it just makes the original dual lands pay to win, and you have to have them now because you only got 30 life, so you gotta have Underground Sea, or you're gonna get punished and lose.
That is true.
Yeah.
So where do we end up? So 30, 40, or 50? Do we need increased life for
No.
Everyone starts at infinite life.
I think 40 is good. I think 40
you can only kill people via commander damage or milling out. That's it. Those are your two win cons.
I think 40 is fine. If we want to experiment and try different life totals, I'm like kind of in the middle and not against it, but I'm still comfortable with 40 at this point, I think.
It would severely hinder CDH, though. Your ad nauseum is not so free.
It's true.
Right?
Is that a bad
there's
thing?
certain cards that abuse this, like Sylvan Library. You like abuse it so hard because you're at 40.
Take 8.
But if you were at 30, you wouldn't be doing the same
Necro.
thing.
Yeah.
Necro, yeah.
That could be good. I don't know. I don't know enough about CDH, what they would think, but I think our power level 40 is fine. Yeah. Okay, this is a pretty fast one, but adjacent. Infect should be at 20 instead of 10 in Commander. What do you all think?
Of course, yes. Obviously. You start at 40 life.
What?
That's just math. It's math.
Yeah.
20 life, 10 infect, 40 life, 20 infect.
You have to kill 20 life. In Commander, you have to kill 120 life.
Oh, wait. So that would mean infect should be like
players.
60 or something? 60. Yeah, I think,
yes, it's stronger, even though life totals are more, but there's more player life totals to get through in Commander. So I think it's okay.
I don't know if that's irrelevant. Because there's regular combat damage or any burn or anything. You could say that.
That's why no one plays any of this. Who plays a real burn deck, right? You play a combo burn deck, or you play a combo aggro deck, right?
Yeah.
I think
But
infect
is a combo, right?
Yeah.
Infect is kind of like it pretty much kind of is. Okay, it's strong synergies, but like legitimately, I don't think that it matters. The only thing here is, I think the Blightsteel hit. That's what most people are worried about, right? Like Blightsteel is perfectly at 11.
Blightsteel, Triumph of the Hordes.
Yeah,
Is anyone afraid of like Glistener Elf scale up? Is that a thing?
Triumph.
People are scared of
Tainted
Grafted
Strike.
Exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Tainted
Grafted
Strike.
Exoskeleton.
I think,
yeah.
I honestly, like, my thing with Infect is, like, I think it should be at 20 eventually, but right now, we just don't have enough cards that it really matters. Like, if we ever went back and got a new block worth of Infect, then you would... Then yeah, you had to boost it up. But right now, like what? So what? You can like one shot somebody with Tainted Strike. I think that's good. You can one shot somebody with Triumph of the Horde. I think that's fine. But like, if we had a lot of Infect cards coming out, then yeah, you'd have to boost it to 20. But right now, it's like whatever.
We might actually have to deal with this in the near future, going to all this Phyrexian storyline. It seems
Do you think it'll bring back
possible.
Infect?
It's
though?
commander damage, and like, it's pointless to play Infect. Like, what's the point of playing Infect at this point, right?
15.
Well, you can
Maybe
still like
15? If
you
15,
randomly
yeah,
kill somebody with Tainted Strike. Like that's good.
Is it?
I
Is
still
it
run
good that
Tainted
you
Strike
can
in like a
one-shot?
stompy
Well,
deck.
no. Oh, it's strong, but is it good that you can just one-shot someone so easily? Like in 20 life formats, Infect is essentially double strike. In 40 life formats, it's like quadruple strike. You're really upping the power. Like it is kind of crazy to me that the amount of Infect is the same. But I guess I don't get killed by Infect much, so maybe this is just doesn't even matter because no one plays Infect very commonly. So it's like, who cares at
What
this
deck
point?
am I playing next game?
But Infect usually just gets pantsed by a table that runs interaction, right? Like
Not everyone starts with 10 Ras Crim and
But like legit though, like it is like Richard had mentioned. There's three other players you have to take down, right? And everyone knows you're on Infect. It's not like Skithrix. What are you gonna do, right? Like everyone knows what you're doing. So
That's
the whole
Skeleton Tribal Crib.
Okay, well if you have that, then sure. But I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. It's like maybe 15.
We lived with it for how long? How many years has the mechanic been in the format?
Yeah,
over a decade.
It's fine.
Over a decade.
I definitely agree with Tomer, though. If it gets more support, this could be something. Like, if it comes back and new players know about it and it's a thing people start doing, like, I think it's not a problem now because no one plays it. Everyone's like, oh, Infect's not very fun. Like, so very few people, I think, actually play Infect decks. But if that changed and a lot of people are playing Infect, I think we might be thinking about this question differently and be sick of dying with 10 Infect. Like, if this was something that was happening every week on Commander Clash, I think that we'd be wanting to change it. But maybe I'm wrong.
That's why I don't think they're bringing it back.
Score.
That's why I don't think they're going to bring it back, because people are salty about it, in fact. So I don't think they're going to bring it back.
Triumph the Hordes.
Visit Phyrexia.
Kind of salty, but not that salty. It's with Elish Norn and Torment of the Hailfire.
It's weird. Feels a little bit cheesy sometimes, where you're just like, I attack you with yeah, but it's super easy. It's one mana, you die.
I mean, Tainted Strike, Exoskeleton, Triumph, those are like the out of nowhere one shots. With Infect, right?
They're good right now. They're very good right now. They'd be unplayable if you switch it to Infect. Should be 20, but I think it's fine right now until they make the Infect better with more cards.
Infect is just a combo deck. It's fine. It's fine. It wasn't
combo
modern
synergy. We'll figure it out.
It wasn't modern.
We should do a podcast
so
on that.
Here. Actually, we're kind of breezing through a lot of these, so we'll move on. I think we only have we'll do two more, I guess. Monarch at the beginning of the game. We kind of alluded to this before when we were talking about, how to solve the deficit the gap between first and last. And Seth, you mentioned maybe like last player gets the monarchy. What do you all think about that?
That doesn't actually work, unfortunately, because of the discard to hand size thing. But yes, I fully believe Commander would be more fun and a better game if the Monarch was involved every game. Like, I wish... I don't know the best mechanism for getting it in there and how to get it started each game. Is it first blood? Do you just give it to someone? Do you wait to a certain turn? I don't like the idea of someone just, immediately getting it and drawing and discarding to hand size. That's just, clunky. So if we could find a way to do it where that's not happening, I think Commander... Every time Monarch shows up, I have a lot of fun playing that game. It incentivizes attacking, so I am totally on board with that if we can figure out the best way to do it.
I mean, draw discard is basically the first turn you get to loot. That's kind of good.
Bad. I mean, you could just give them a clue token that's free to crack, right?
That's
you just
true.
fix Monarch, right? I mean, I think the best part of it is the fact that it encourages spreading the love, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get hit, you lose the Monarch, right? People are not incentivized to keep hitting you like a curse or something, right? You don't get beaten down into the ground, right? So this spreads the love, which I think makes for a better game, right? Because I think we can all agree, when one person exits early and the rest of the game continues for a long time, that's one of the worst case scenarios. Mm-hmm. So this encourages the spreading around, and it encourages attacking as well. So I think anything that encourages those two things is a plus.
I wouldn't mind it being a default in all Commander games, yeah. Krim.
I don't mind it either. I'm just thinking, how do you get it into the game?
Yeah, I don't know.
Roll.
That's the problem.
You clash. You reveal the top part of your deck. Whoever has the highest mana value takes it.
But the first turn cycle, it's never going to be very good. But I think that's actually kind of fine. It's not very good turn cycle.
What if it starts on turn 2? On the first turn cycle,
that's way too early. What about turn 5?
Turn 5, the game's almost over.
People don't even, but also people don't even track turns. If you play this on paper on MTGO, it tells us in the corner. But if you would just stop a table playing a game of Magic and you'd be like, "What turn is it?" They would just look at you blankly. If it's after turn 3.
What about just first blood? If you were the person dealing first blood, you've obviously played something, so you're not going to be discarding to hand size because you have a creature you're attacking with. So first blood, Monarch, that person gets a crown, and then it just goes normal.
Mana Dorks
incentivizes certain things like Mana Dorks, Rogak, these ones.
Yeah, it doesn't incentivize.
It disproportionately powers up people, right?
Is it bad to incentivize cheap attacking creatures though? I thought we wanted more non-value-y attacking creatures.
No, because you're not getting an attacking creature. You're getting a Llanowar elf that's just chipping in to get the Monarch, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
That is like severely skewed in one like archetype's favor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Green,
that's already pretty good.
I mean, either way, if we introduce Monarchy on turn 1 or whatever, green is going to get a major power boost because all the mana dorks are going to be really good at picking them up.
Yep.
So
I guess that's
I guess that's true. But
Monarch,
I think just die roll at the beginning for Monarch.
Yeah, but even whoever gets it, if it's turn 1, like green is going to have an advantage in terms of picking it up.
Sure, but I mean, someone will have an advantage.
Yeah.
Well,
but at least the randomness.
If we're gonna do that, should we just give it to the 4th player again so they get an advantage to wrap back around to the earlier question? Like, if we're gonna do it, then sure, I guess they're just well, then they're just
Scry 3.
They're essentially looting that turn, I guess, most likely, unless they have a 1-drop. They're probably just looting, so it's not full card draw.
You could combine it. Okay, so player 2, scry 1. Player 3, scry 2. Player 4, Monarch.
Yeah, there we go.
You would take the scry.
That's a lot. That is a lot more
very complicated now.
Yeah, that's a lot more
Complicated.
I do think though, as we do mention that though, I do think that like Commander and like maybe things like Plane Chase should like overlap a little bit more. Mostly I think like you can hand out Monarch, and like with the passing turns, it's a lot like if you play like a battle royale, more things get added on, right? So like it pushes a game towards an end. Like the zone closes in a battle royale and it gets smaller. So Commander, what they can do is they can add Monarch, and then it can add like fevered visions. It can add like stuff like that.
I mean, I like the idea. I don't know about adding fevered visions too, but what about this? How about this for getting the Monarch into play? Like, how about once someone's life total drops to a certain point, the first person to drop to 30 life or 20 life, they get the Monarch. So the person who's losing is going to start getting an extra card to hopefully catch up, and it gets a Monarch.
The person
into the
with
game.
Sylvan Library and Fetch Lands and Shocks is going to...
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can ad nauseum. Or like, I guess that's true. But then you're also losing a lot of life.
Would you pay 20 life or something to draw one card to get the Monarch stolen?
The answer is yes.
And get attacked.
Seth went to 1 with Wheel of Misfortune. He
overpaid. I did die because of it, but
yeah, Seth overpaid. No one bid
totally
more than like
worth
10.
So I guess we all agree that Monarch would be really sweet to have as a default, but then just the nuts and bolts of it is going to be how we get there. But yeah,
give us your ideas. Card.
Give us your ideas.
Changes every game.
Yeah,
first blood, first one to get the 3 mana, first one to get the 20 life.
And we get
sometimes
Alchemy
the Monarch's actually fevered visions. You never know. Like,
honestly, like
coming to Alchemy this fall.
Sometimes the Monarchy is just a curse that applies to you. It's like some opulence on yourself.
Oh, it's a humility. This game. Let's have fun.
That would be sweet.
That would be really fun though.
Play that.
But again, that's what I mean. Like that's where like Commander and Plane Chase kind of just like slowly start merging into one.
Oh, it'd be so good in digital. They need to build like a digital client just for stuff like that. Like, could you imagine if you could combine it? Yeah, but with 4 players.
Alchemy Commander.
Oh no, we've been canceled. Alchemy Commander is our suggestion out of this podcast.
Yes, that's if there's one takeaway.
We need a digital platform for Commander that isn't Magic Online, and we got to turn it into Alchemy.
So many people right now are just like, digital cards! No!
All right, we have 2 more suggestions, and they're actually pretty sweet, so I want to get to this next one. This is penalty for being multicolor. In Commander, the idea is that your commander determines your color identity. So if you have a monocolor commander, you can only run cards of that one color in colorless sources. And in theory, in Magic theory, the idea of having access to more than one color is balanced by the fact that you have to do something, like your lands come into play tapped, or you're just less consistent in casting your spells, or something is a drawback. But in 2022, mana bases are effortlessly perfect, especially if you have the money for it. So being a 5-color deck doesn't really have much of a disadvantage compared to monocolor, so you just have more cards. You just have an advantage, essentially. So people were suggesting giving a penalty. Kindred Style said starting at -5 life for each color over 1. So you'd be you'd be at like 20 life starting life for 5-color decks just right off the bat. Saying that it would like help aggro decks as well and stuff. And then the other suggestion was the commander tax would be adjusted to increase based on how many colors you were. So mono color you'd only have like a command tax of 1 instead of 2, but wedges would be 3, and then 5-color would be 5. What do you think about this? Having a penalty on having more than one color in a commander.
I don't know if I like that.
5-color decks overpowered. Like, why are we so penalizing 5-color decks here?
This is upvoted. No, I'm just reading.
I'm confused. Is the sentiment 5-color decks are so strong and monocolor decks are trash?
I think they are stronger, but that's more like a CDH thing. Like people are like, my 4-color partner deck is better than any monocolor deck, and it's like, okay,
but
sure,
can't you just mono blue Urza somebody?
Yeah,
like that's could. Like so. Like it's not like they are running rampant and being the best deck in the format, right?
Yeah,
mono blue can still be pretty degenerate.
Yeah, it depends on the commander. I think multicolor has a inherent advantage over monocolor just because you have more cards, and but like the drawback of like mana base is insignificant.
But Magic at like when it comes to like popularity and like enjoyment for most people came at like example like during the Ravnica sets, right? There's multicolors and there's a lot of multicolor decks and 3-color decks. People love playing those like multiple colors in their decks. So I don't know. I don't see the reason in punishing multicolor decks. I guess
the game does it by itself, right? Like, yes, your mana base is perfect 85% of the time, but then there's that 15% of the time where it's not because you're running a 5-color deck and you don't have double white or whatever that you need, right? So
that's true.
I think the game kind of just adjusts for that. You can't run utility lands or as many, and so I don't know. I don't know that we need like -5 life for each color is so severe. I don't know if we need to go there.
I wouldn't play a 5-color deck at that point ever.
+3 tax for a wedge, like it's very strong.
Those are way too impactful. I don't think that there's a problem that needs to be fixed here that I'm seeing. Like I get what Tomer's saying. Mana bases are really good, but I still think there is a cost. Like, we do see people get color screwed on occasion if they're too greedy and they're playing a 3-color, 4-color, 5-color deck. It doesn't happen a ton, but it does happen. So there is some penalty built into the game. And I just haven't seen 5 colors be dominant. Like, yes, there is an advantage that you have a bigger card pool to work with, but I haven't really seen that play out in a problematic way where every time we play a game, or most of the times when we play a game, the 5-color deck's just running away with it. Like, if anything, like, just sometimes stumbling around a little bit and someone else has a more consistent deck. And there is a cost with playing colorless lands as well. It's harder to play your strip mines or whatever utility lands that might be colorless if you're playing 5 colors. It's harder to play MDFCs, which are the most powerful cards in the entire format if you're playing 5 colors. So I think there's enough of a cost to being 5 colors that we don't at this point need to fix any problems here or add taxes to anything.
Although, would that make colorless no tax?
No tax.
No
just
tax.
like
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Just like they're like, well, tax. Ulamog.
Food chain Ulamog. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. I don't think it needs to be solved. I do like that every once in a while Wizards of the Coast will make a card specifically to boost monocolor. Like we saw War Room, it's better in monocolor decks. There was like Commander's Plate, which is pretty popular as an equipment. So more of those cards would be pretty cool. Blood Moon.
And there's stuff that even Emiria, stuff that triggers on Urborg, how many basics of a certain type you have, stuff like that can also push in that direction.
Yeah. I think
each color has so many staples now that you can fill your like monocolor deck with staples before you get to like what you're supposed to be playing. Like I don't feel like you're like scrapping for cards that you need to like pull in different colors to do things.
I mean, multicolor still has an advantage because you still have more options, but
right, and that's why I think you just spend the time boosting monocolor decks as opposed to like punishing the multicolor decks.
It's better in a psychological sense too. Buffing things instead of nerfing things is just more popular. So like just boosting monocolor with a little bit better made for monocolor cards, I think is cool. But
if you're monocolor, you start off with the Monarch, 50 life. Your commander damage is only 10.
Unless you're green. So you start at -10.
They'll nerf infect and then imply that change.
All right. Last suggestion. This is from JJ the Second 2. So they mentioned hybrid mana again. We're skipping that. But also being able to play over 100 cards in your deck. So right now, you have to have a 99 card library, or you have to have 100 card total. You have a deck that counts as 100 cards total, or maybe Companion is 101, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. Whatever. Regardless, there's a set amount. You can't go under, you can't go over. And some people were suggesting, why not make 100 cards the minimum and have no maximum? So you can play like Battle of Wits or whatever.
So I was thinking about this one. I was reading this before the actual cast. I only see 3 things this does. It lets you play Battle of Wits, which that's fine, I guess. That's cool that you could build around it. It makes Yari unbusted, and probably it needs to be banned if it's just you add 20 extra cards and it's a free roll if you're in the colors, similar to Lutri. So I think that's probably a negative. And then I guess it's good for lazy people. We always have these Commander Clash where it's like, I need to get rid of these 10 cards, or like we're trying to record and someone's saying, oh, I gotta cut 2 cards. Hang on, guys. It would solve that problem. Just, run it. You got the 101 card special. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I think most people would still play 100 cards, but I guess it would help in those scenarios. We could record on time more often.
Instead of cutting those last 2 lands to go to 30 lands, you just leave in those just 2 cards.
I'm always just like plus 21, so like I gotta shave cards.
This is the only thing on the list that I would push really hard for that I see no downside. Just ban Yorion, right? Like, it's odd that this is the only format in all of Magic that enforces a maximum. Like, no one else does it, right? Like, you can play 78 cards in your standard deck if you felt like it. It's a casual format. Why are we forcing people to cut down to make their deck more consistent, right? Like, sometimes you have these 10 pet cards you want to play, and you don't want to cut them for consistency. It's singleton format. Just jam them all in there, right? Like, I don't... You know how many times I end up with like 105 cards, and then I got to start cutting cards I like for consistency to get down to 100? Like, I would just slap in 3 more lands and play a 110 card deck. I'm playing Singleton Commander. I'm expecting variance. I want to play all my favorite cards, right? Why do I have to cut cards? So I don't see it as a power level. Like, I don't see how you can abuse this in any way outside of Yorion. So I think go for it.
Yeah, I love this. I think this is amazing. I would love to see minimum 100. That's fine, but plus like no max is amazing. I exactly for that reason that Richard mentioned. Like oftentimes like I have to like trim things down. I cut all my pet cards, or you know what I mean. Or I guess in my case, I've recently been cutting my consistent cards to play more pet cards, but. Well, all my pet cards are troll cards, so I don't know. But yeah, like I think this is there's no purpose for a max.
My only other concern that I just thought of would be shuffling. Like, if you let 100 cards is already like kind of a lot.
You can cut down to 100. You can't shuffle.
That's a dexterity check.
That's why I don't even double sleeve. Tiny hands. Okay. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
I think the real problem is tutors, right? You can jam your deck up with like a million one-ofs and then try to tutor them all out. But I don't know how much of a real concern.
And you can already do that. Like, you can already play a bunch of tutors in one of, so.
Mr. I want wishes and lesson learned.
I want wishes, but I see there's a downside to that, right? Like, yeah, I can see that. But what's the downside to this?
I like this, actually. Yeah, I'm down. Just if Urion's a problem, you just ban it. I don't even think it's going to be a problem. Because, like, oh, yeah, you're playing Urion. Well, I do the same eye roll if I see, like, Narset, you know? Like, it's fine.
Well, no, like... No, as your companion, though. Like, just any blue deck or white deck, any blue-white deck can just play it as a companion.
Just add it.
Yeah, but then
have another... Kind of like Lutri.
But then you have to shuffle that deck, and that's punishment enough, no? Like, you have to, like...
Well, yeah, let's try it. I'd love to be able to try to play Battle of Wits. That would be super fun. A Battle of Wits week on Commander Clash. That would be our highest viewed episode, I swear it would, if we could actually do it.
Bring that back.
Like, can you somehow add cards to your deck somehow? Like, no, right?
Not on Magic Online, no. Against the rules. Maybe that's why we're talking about it.
Maybe that's our next paper game, Battle of Wits week. Everyone build their best Battle
I'm
of
not
Wits
shuffling
deck.
200 cards.
Battle
of Wits, your Ryan deck.
I'm gonna let you know
Yes.
that I never ask people like to let me cut their deck and vice versa, but I am going to ask that week that you have to cut my deck.
I'm going to pile shuffle your deck every time I shuffle it. Just to make
that?
sure.
You mean like how the old sweaty days of like like a GP or PTQ? Oh, sorry, I'm gonna shuffle your deck for you, and all right, your turn.
You have to squeeze out that DQ win, Your deck's not good enough. You don't have the skill, I gotta make sure.
yeah.
59 cards in deck, Judge.
I'll bust out Secret Text Soldier of Fortune. You can tap it. Target player shuffles their library. Oh yeah. You have to do a proper shuffle with that 120 plus deck. Like I'm just saying,
Brutal.
We should do no budget.
No half measures.
So then you have to max out 200 cards, triple sleeved. Playing all the expensive cards.
I'm not playing a Battle of the Wits double sleeve deck. I don't even know how you'd haul that. By the way,
Yeah.
you need how many cards would you be? 240? You built the Battle with sex, right?
Yeah, you would have to bring your cube carrying case to play your commander.
Pick 2 decks and shuffle them together and throw in a Battle of Wits, and there you go.
Yeah, you're good.
Change your commander to Child of Alara, then you're done.
Well, we actually got through all the suggestions. I put too many at the beginning. I thought we were going to go through maybe 6 or so, but we actually breezed through all of them. So thank you. Yeah. So thank you so much for your suggestions, everyone. There were even more in the community tab. I'll have a link to that if you want to look at all of them. But yeah, this was really sweet. We got to talk about the fundamentals of the format. We weren't going into the nitty gritty of individual cards, but we were just examining the fundamentals and seeing if there was anything we should change. I think there was some that we agreed off of Planeswalkers, Planeswalkers and Bandit's Commander. I think those are 2 big ones. And maybe introducing the monarchy and ways of reducing. Yeah. So a lot of these we actually ended up agreeing with. So that was really cool. So if you reached the end of this podcast, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Next week, we don't know what the topic is, but we'll let you know as soon as we figure that out. And until next time, friends, see ya!
Peace.